All right, so with hockey upcoming in a few weeks, not back yet. Got some time today, and I wanted to cover some things that are going on in the sports world. And I wanted to do this before it got too late at night. So, first off, yes, I'm wearing two different sports. I've got San Diego Padres and technically San Diego Chargers. I know they're the LA Chargers now, but it's the San Diego jersey I'm wearing. I have no idea why I picked San Diego as the city I cheered for with baseball and football. No idea. When I was a kid, they were the ones I liked, and various reasons for both. I take this week in baseball as the reason that I came out liking the Expos and the Padres. Steve Garvey, and as I remember, Gary Carter being on This Week in Baseball a lot. And then with football, it was just Chargers. I really like the powder blue and all that too. So there you go. So speaking of football, so we'll start off with football. I would have baseball on the board, but there's not a whole lot of baseball. I will say this: I am very skeptical baseball finishes their season. I am skeptical of baseball being able to finish their season. We'll see. We'll see how it works out without any kind of a bubble, any kind of a central location to have games in. It'll be interesting to see how that works. Now, football, we don't know if football's going to be played this fall either. That's another one. I saw a post on social media about liberals are trying to take out all the professional sports, but they're all coming back, and now they're going to go after college sports because they can't get the pros to stop. Pros haven't come back yet. Don't count those chickens before they hatch. So Washington, in what was the worst hidden secret ever, is going to change their National Football team's name, and I agree. I think that it's long overdue. This is something that has been asked, requested, / demanded for decades. This has been going on for decades. And finally it feels like sponsorships have forced the change. Where websites saying, well, we're not going to sell your merch, and sponsors saying we may just not support the franchise at this stage, has forced ownership to say, yeah, maybe we will look at changing the name. Maybe it's that time. So I'm trying not to be too cynical, but I kind of sort of am, because Washington, before any time that this was asked of them, said, no, we're never changing the name. We're not going to do it. So, yeah, now they're going to, and people can kick and scream all they want that the name change is going to happen. And I look forward to seeing what they come up with. You don't really need to change the team colors. You don't need to change the name that much, and you can have a brand new logo that likely will lead to greater merchandise sales. Washington has to be near the bottom of merchandise sales. If they're not at the bottom, they have to be close. And I'm not saying necessarily just because of the logo and the name, which don't help, but the team doesn't have any success on the field either. So that combination means, yeah, rebranding might be a smart idea. Might be a really smart idea. Speaking of smart ideas, MLS, though they're down 2 teams in their tournament, they're trying to get it going and keep it going. DC United and Toronto FC, negative, no positive tests between the two of them, which is good. And of course, there was some concern about more positive tests and delaying games. I think the most upsetting part with MLS is hearing about inconclusive tests. For any of this to work, the tests can't be inconclusive. And I know there's false positives and false negatives. That's why you have to do multiple tests, and it has to be daily testing. The idea that, well, we think maybe somebody tested, well, we're not sure, so it's inconclusive. Can't have that. You can't. So MLS, which is down 2 teams, if another team ends up out of the tournament, it's probably going to end up being the end of it. And again, they're trying to exist, and it's strange because you look at MLS and you compare it to what's gone on in Europe, where all the soccer leagues came back in Europe, most of them anyways. And they played out their seasons, and there's been some speed bumps here and there depending on which league you're looking at, but things have gone pretty well. So, for fans of soccer in Europe, they're probably looking at North America going, why can't you guys get this figured out? We figured it out. We're good. And again, before those leagues came back, whether it was Bundesliga, Premier, whichever league came back, people right away were like, oh, this is never going to work during a pandemic. You can't make this work during it. This is just, they should shut everything down. This is too unsafe. And then they made it work safely, so everybody shut up about it. Mostly. And that's the thing. If If we see one of these leagues get shut down due to the ongoing pandemic, then everybody will scream and yell about how that's where things are wrong. And if a league is able to make this work and they have a full season or they have a full playoffs, nobody will say a word. People are just going to say, well, they just got lucky. They still should have shut everything down. Edmonton, speaking of shutdowns and changes, the Edmonton Eskimos, a name which, when they named them, it really wasn't a big deal. But as years have gone by, they've gone, that's probably not the best term. It'd be like a team, the St. John's Newfies. I mean, it's a term that Newfoundlanders aren't necessarily fond of. So if at some point in time you want to change it, or I guess a more active or more accurate way of putting it would be the Vancouver Newfies, where it's not in Newfoundland and you've got it somewhere. So Edmonton, not exactly known for its large Inuit community as far as I know. You guys can let me know in the comment section below if I'm wrong, though, because I don't have a problem with admitting, yeah, no, that's true. And so if there's a large Inuit community in Edmonton, be interesting to know. But again, I don't think that's where the name would come from. But they're saying we probably need to change the name. So we'll see what they come up with if they do change the name. And people are saying it's probably their turn. They're probably going to be next. And again, it's just, this is what's going on with sports. And we'll see how many team names end up getting changed. Whether Cleveland and baseball has to change their name from Indians. Or what happens. Now, speaking of CFL, they're seeking some financial aid from the federal government. Now, the federal government's got its own whole host of problems. You look at this whole WE scandal, and the WE scandal is I think, pretty big. So the federal government's going to have its own issues. And in terms of finances, with all the CERB payments going out, I don't know how much of a desire they're going to have to financially bail out the CFL in what's supposed to be a shortened season. They're looking at Winnipeg as a possible hub. I'm not sure how that works. It can. Winnipeg definitely has low numbers, but it'll be interesting to see what they do and whether or not the federal government does actually help them out. But it'll have to be a shortened season. So yeah, that'll be interesting to keep our eyes on. Lewis Hamilton wins his 85th F1 race. He is 6 back of Michael Schumacher. Please, for the love of God, Mr. Hamilton, please take Schumacher down. I would love nothing more than to see Schumacher at second on the all-time wins list. I was not a fan of Schumacher's at all. I thought he was a bit of a dirty driver. And again, I'm just saying a bit because I don't want to be like he was. But yeah, my favorite F1 racers have been Jacques Villeneuve, Prost, Ayrton Senna. Hamilton's fantastic. Raikkonen was another one that I liked a lot. Never a big fan of Schumacher. There were so many races where I'm like, oh, Schumacher's ahead again. How far ahead is he? 25 seconds? That's ridiculous. Does he have an extra engine that the other guys don't have? Is his car on steroids? How is this happening? So it was frustrating. So I would love to see Hamilton win some more races and Schumacher not be the all-time winningest race car driver. That would make me very happy. Now, I watched some IndyCar this week, and I enjoyed it because they're on the Road America course. Road America might be my favorite course. It has some really nice, fast areas. It has narrow roadways. You have left and right-hand turns, which are nice. Sorry, NASCAR, but right and left-hand, both turns. It's nice to see them turning both ways. And, you know, the way that it's set up, so you have that gravel and the pebble and the marbles just off the road there. And then just the strategy with that course. Everything with Road America to me is awesome. So they had the 2 races. I watched the first one. I did not see the second one. And yeah, it was a fun race to watch. And, you know, I felt bad for a couple of racers there because there were just like maybe a pit mistake or car stalls. And then everything kind of goes out the window. But that's racing. That's how that works. And sometimes the race can be won or lost in a bad or a great pit stop. So a lot of fun to be had watching IndyCar. I do enjoy IndyCar probably more than NASCAR. Of the 3, if I had to include F1 as one of the 3, I would say F1's the best racing. But again, because I'm in North America, F1 races are very often over before I'm up and about and watching TV. So IndyCar is kind of right where... kind of my wheelhouse when it comes to having time to watch stuff. Although this summer, of course, in a few weeks' time, hopefully we have hockey on, and then I won't have time to watch that either. NCAA football, as I talked about at the start, we may not have NCAA football this year. NCAA football is a huge money generating entity in the U.S., and it honestly dwarfs some other major league sports. Although the college players don't get paid like major league sports athletes, and that's certainly been a cause of many discussions over the last few years. But it may just not be safe. We're in a situation right now where courses and colleges in the U.S. there's going to be a lot likely online, and likely some major changes in how things look on campuses this fall, and we just may not get NCAA football. As much as there are people in government circles that want to see everything back to normal, as much as there are people in the everyday walk of life who want to see everything back to normal, I don't think it's going to be. Which is why I have my doubts about the NBA, positive tests coming out of the NBA, which I'm not overly concerned with, as long as it's not, I caught this while I was in the bubble. That's when you go, oh, that's really bad news. That's terrible. So while there's some pretty public names that have come forward as being, among those that have tested positive, as long as it's not while you're in the bubble, at that point you're in trouble. And this is where MLS, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if this works out with MLS, because honestly, a World Cup type tournament can be fantastic. They could do it again next year, but we'll see. Major league sports in North America are likely going to look very different for a while. In Europe, they should be okay. In Canada, it's possible we're able to have some sort of sports in Canada. But some of the minor league stuff we have up here, some of the junior league hockey, for instance, I'm not sure how you run it. I'm not sure without fans in attendance how you make it work at all. It would lose tons of money. So it'll be interesting to see where things go in the fall and what numbers look like. But for right now, racing seems to be the one that's okay. Racing seems to be the one that's all right. And of course, people will point out UFC. UFC's been definitely better than WWE, but AEW has had it ahead of WWE as well, because AEW was actually testing for the virus the whole way through, whereas AEW was not. AEW AEW was testing for it, WWE was not. WWE was making a mistake right there, and so we've seen where now Rusev's tested positive, Lana's parents have tested positive, which has led to a lot of speculation on social media that Lana herself has tested positive. And she's not allowed to say if she has or hasn't, because WWE's put a gag order on its talent on and off air about revealing whether or not they tested positive. So my guess is CJ probably does have it. And, all the best to the members of her family. I understand her mother's showing signs of recovery. So here's to hoping everybody pulls through. And again, wherever you are, hopefully you're safe where you're at. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.